For beginners looking to get started in park jets, they usually get stuck with one of two extremes. The companies are either going to sell you a stable plane that looks silly, or a very scale plane that's unstable. The design work that it would take to get the two of those to work together has been virtually impossible up until now. Over the past year, we want to make sure with our new advanced V3 fleet that there was one entry-level trainer plane. The new F35 V3 is scale-looking, it's beautiful, and it flies in slow motion. Let me give you a little context so you know what I'm talking about. So there's a few key factors why it's been so hard for designers to get a scale-looking beginner plane. First thing is you need the right kind of wing size and shape. If the wing is too sporty like an F-22, it brings the instability you want for advanced aerobatics, but is a problem for beginners, especially at slower speeds. If you make the wing very stable looking, you lose the fighter jet look and feel. The other thing to note is that a scale looking fighter jet is not getting enough lift, therefore it's not getting enough drag, and therefore it's getting too much speed. The side effect of a good amount of lift is drag. This is a healthy ratio. And the side effect of drag is it slows the plane down. This is what beginners need. Well, they want to go fast. Everybody wants to go fast. You can go fast later when you get to your second plane. What you want to do is have a beginner plane that flies as slow as possible, yet stays stable, and that's the trick. So getting the right proportions of lift, drag, and speed is very tricky. The other thing is you need a self-stabilizing co-pilot of some sort. There's several different ways to do this. One way that people are familiar with now is gyros, but that can be complicated to set up, and that is definitely more for advanced guys. After you get a stable plane dialed in, then you put gyros on it. Another way is a very old-fashioned way, and that's dihedral. The V shape in the wings is going to help the plane stay stable on the roll axis. As it dips over to one side, it gets more lift on that wing and then brings it back to center. This is kind of a co-pilot effect. Having a straight, flat fighter jet wing is going to be too twitchy on the roll. Having the wing up above the center of gravity also makes it more stable. Having larger vertical stabilizers, more stable. A lot of different things like this that help bring it in all together. For example, modern day fighter jets do all of this in reverse. They have their wings slanting down to make them more unstable on the roll, so they'll roll over faster. They'll also move their center of gravity back, so they'll pitch faster. All the things you want in a dogfight, none of which you want as a beginner. Our new F-35 V3 is the most scale, best-looking beginner plane we've ever designed. This thing is ridiculous to fly. Let me go over three things that you'll find very interesting on how this works. Number one is it has a larger airplane-style wing. It looks like a fighter jet wing. The aerodynamics are seeing an airplane wing. Number two, it has a lifting body. Number three, it has stable stabilizers. So number one, the larger airplane wing. This is the area we've spent a lot of time on trying to cheat. The version 2 of our F-35 a couple of years ago had more of the C-style look to it. It looked like the Navy version had the longer, wider wings. And you can see what we were trying to do there. We were trying to get more lift and stability. The problem is nobody wants to fly the Navy version. They all want to fly the Marine version or the Air Force version, which has got the stockier fighter jet look to it, right? So we were determined with the V3 series that to get a better look to it. So we went back to the drawing board and spent a lot of time playing with the numbers with the wing size and shape in proportion to the rest of the airplane. Because the trick here is to please two different judges. The first judge you have to please is the aerodynamic gods. When the wind starts going over that platform, it needs to see what you're designing it to see, and that is, in this case, stability priority one. But then you need to step back and you need to allow the human eye to see what it wants to see, and that is a cool looking fighter jet. And when you go back and forth and play with the numbers and designs, you can get the two of them to work. Our F-117 V3 is a perfect example of this, where the eye sees a cool looking scale stealth plane, but the aerodynamics are seeing the things it wants for aggressive stability. The wing size and shape of our F-35 V3 is extremely dialed in. And it's another example of you add a half inch here or there, you start to get more stability and worse looks, or this way you get better looks and less stability all the way around the circle. And when you put a KF2 airfoil on it, it really helps bring it alive as well. So that's the first thing. It's got the larger airplane wing as far as the aerodynamics are concerned, yet it looks like a fighter jet wing to the human eye. The second thing is it has a lifting body. This was a big turnaround in the design. What was originally a problem was we were trying to get the F-35 design to be a fighter jet style plane, and so we were getting disappointed with the V1 and the V2 where the more scale we made it, the more it slowed down. And as we started going that direction, we realized, you know what, stop resisting it and go with it. The F-35 is the platform to turn into the scale looking beginner plane. So as we started adding more stealth panels and scale looks and foam to it that greatly increased the look of it, it automatically increased drag as well as stability and lift. The result is you have a big giant body pan and it floats in the air like a boat. That bottom lifting body is adding up to 20% more lift, as well as the side angles of it are getting a dihedral effect. So you're getting some roll stability from that big bulbous body underneath. The scale panels on top are acting as drag, and it's the kind of drag you want where it's a drag that's distributed over the entire plane. So it's not dragging on the wings or the tail or anything like this and pitching the plane around. It's just slowing the plane down. It forces you to run the motor at higher RPMs, which is putting more air over the controlled surfaces in the back. Now, when you fly this compared to our fastest plane, the MiG-29 V3, the MiG is way faster at half throttle because it's the exact opposite of all these features. It's also much faster on the performance and aerobatics, which makes it trickier for beginners. Another thing to note with this lifting body is that we put the battery way down at the bottom of the inside of the body panel. So it has a hang glider type effect. Though your eye is looking at the plane as kind of a mid-wing design, right? The physics is looking and feeling a top wing design because all the weight is hanging far below the wing and you're getting that pendulum effect. It's like a kid hanging on the monkey bars. It's very stable. And number 3, the vertical stabilizers. The vertical stabilizers have been calibrated to the precise angle to give you a dihedral and stable-like effect. Now you can't fly this thing upside down very well because it wants to roll itself back over due to the battery hanging from the bottom and due to the angle in the vertical stabilizers. Now this plane does all the tricks. It does loops, does rolls, does all the stuff, but it's not going to do them super fast, and it's not going to fly upside down and do other highly advanced aerobatic moves like the MiG-29 V3 will do. So you bring this all together and what happens is you have a plane that just flies like a boat. You take it off and it just goes straight until you tell it what else to do. You turn left, it turns left. You do a loop, it does a loop. And what I love about it most is that extra half a second of reaction time it gives you. And for beginners, that's all they need. Just slow things down a little bit and all of a sudden you can fly this good looking plane. So let me go over a few personal flight tips I found with this plane. First one is build it heavy. Using the stock setup recommended in the instructions, it's going to have plenty of power to do all of its moves. And when I mean plenty of power, that is plenty of power to keep you out of trouble. Because if you have a motor that's not powerful enough and you don't have acceleration when you need it, that can result in a crash. It does not have enough power to go unlimited vertical or be faster than everyone else at the field. In fact, I wouldn't recommend putting a faster motor in it or a Megajet motor and trying to get it to go fast because now you're fighting against the design. You're going to be fighting against all that drag. Second thing is plan on building 2 of them. So build your first one fast, heavy, sloppy, don't paint it, crash it a few times, get the hang of it. Then your second one, that one you can build a little bit more precise, paint it, make it look nice. With the PDF plans, you can make as many of these as you want. And the third recommendation is we spend a lot of time on the super instructions that come in the V3 package. Do go through them, do pay attention to them. I know we all like to dodge the instructions, but that's who these are built for, guys that like to dodge the instructions. So the F35 V3, the first super scale looking park jet that flies like a trainer plane. Now on the other end of the spectrum, we have the monster for the expert guys, the highly aerobatic, unstable F22 V3. And that's coming up next week.